Welcome back to my channel, Mindful Connections. Carrie Marie here. And I think today is a great day to talk about overcoming adversities. And one of those examples hit so home for me in the last couple of weeks. I went out of town to go see a friend, and we recorded some videos, some content, because for me, there is nothing more inspiring than God's creation and nature. And that's because there's a lot. I'm a visual person. This is how I always claim I speak in pictures, because that is my native language, is imagery. And it's also a universal language. And when you have an understanding of images like that, there is a wealth of inspiration in nature. So for me, we got done recording these videos, this content. I felt, honestly, I felt at the time that I was ahead of the game. I had so much content that would have provided content for the next month. And I get home. I checked it when I was there, but something in the transition, it's like almost like that's something that tries to stop you in what you're doing. And this is so true to examples of what happens in our lives, right? So I get home, I get ready to post this content, and it seems like I'm just having little errors here and there. The video, the quality of the video is not translating properly, or the audio is not translating properly. The upload fails over and over and over again for whatever reason. And I'm not gonna lie, there was some moments there I was discouraged, because I'm only human, and it gets frustrating when you feel like you're battling against the waves. And so I decided, you know what, instead of just giving up on that content and just going out with different content, I'm going to utilize this disadvantage as a great segment, a good example. Leading by example is what we're doing here. So one of the topics in one of the video content that was recorded that kept failing to upload was all about, overcoming the trials in your life. And with that, the inspiration came from, sitting out on the pier, out on the beach, and just looking at the wind, the waves, the water. The first day, I was only there for 2 solid days, and the first day it was beautiful, sunny skies, clear as day, and you could even see the creatures in the water, whether it was even tiny fish in the ocean, right? We got to see sharks. So, I think there was 3 sharks that we saw. Dolphins, my first time ever seeing a shark or a dolphin in person in the wild. It was fun to watch the baby dolphins play in the waves, right? And it's interesting because you didn't see the adults, but you knew that they were there. The babies were just having a great old time. And of course, jellyfish and lots of other fish. And I don't know exactly how deep we could see down, but it was definitely like good 10 feet or more, right? Then on the next day, there were storms coming through. And it was, there was a moment we had to sit in my car, wait for the rain to pass. But the weather was safe enough that we didn't let that stop us from exploring and setting out to achieve what we wanted to, which again is also an example of overcoming your adversities within reason. And you got to evaluate your safety as at the time and place, right? And this was just, the storms were really relatively mild. The rain came for a while and the wind, right? But as the storm started clearing up and we're out on the pier, we're looking, and you notice that the water clarity is, you can't even see an inch down. It is so churned up with all the sediment. It's dark, inky kind of looking instead of this beautiful aqua green, teal marine color. And so it's very different from the day before. The skies are gray, and so it's interesting. And this is where the inspiration comes from, because in our lives, you'll have a sunny day, a clear day. You can see your peripherals, you can see the blind spots, which I liken to the water. Not all water can you see and not all blind spots can you see, but in, one day it's sunny, it's clear, you can see past everything. And then the next day, it's dark, it's inky, you can't tell what's around you. All you know is that you're in these intense waves, you're in this intense rain, this storm, this wind, and it's dark outside. And yet, in the midst of that, there is always that sunny ray of sunshine on the edge of that storm. Every time, every storm has a patch of sunshine that's on its way. And it doesn't require you to see that sunny patch of sun coming through or to know that it's there. A lot of times we forget in the moment because we're so focused on battling the waves, trying to read the waters around us, even though it's hard to see through it. And we're so focused on the fight in the moment that it can get discouraging if you don't remember and have hope in the sunny rays on the other side of that storm, on the edge of that storm. And so I want to remind you to look at the horizon, because in this life, storms will come and go. Adversities will come and go. Trials will come and go. And it's just like that rocky road concept. You got to decide, how are you going to get through it? Are you going to stay stuck and just continually battling the waves right there? Or are you going to find a way to surf them until you see that sunny patch? And and it's okay to ask for help in those moments. And a great example of that is if someone falls overboard when they're on a ship and it's in the storm. Do you think they're not going to ask for help? No, they're going to say, come save me, right? They're going to reach out to what help they have available to them. And, likewise, I want to remind you that in the midst of the storm, you're not alone. It may feel like you're alone, and whether you believe in God or not, you're not alone. And a simple way of thinking of that is, in those churned up waves that you can't see down into the water, those sharks, those fish, those jellyfish, they're still there. They didn't go anywhere. They're still there. So, likewise, and same with the dolphins, right? It's all still there, right? Likewise, God is there even more, right? He sees every ounce of what you're going through. And sometimes he just requires us to remember that this struggle that you're going through in the moment is a learning process. It is a refining process. It is something that every opportunity of adversity is what I call it's an opportunity. It is a moment to reflect, a moment to learn, a moment to challenge yourself on how you want to decide to move forward. Are you going to decide to let the waves take you over and defeat you and push you wherever the current goes? Or are you going to remember and reflect that there is a sunny piece of sky on the edge of that horizon and figure out your best way to surf those waves until that sunny patch comes? And even then, you're still going to have to tread water when you got the sunny patch. And that's just how life is. Every day you got to keep moving. Every day you got to keep going. And, you know, I've heard it. I've actually heard this example before, and I love this example. It's someone, forgive me, I don't know the name. I just heard it in passing, but they were trying to encourage people to keep going. And, you know, they said, I don't care if you have to tiptoe or sidestep through the moments in life, or if you end up on your belly and you're dragging and crawling through it. As long as you keep going, as long as you don't give up, your lowest moments will become your greatest triumphs. And I love that. It's so true. And I'll have to do a segment on my personal story, because, you know, that's a reminder to me as well. You know, my lowest moments, I want to choose to allow them to be moments to help other people, because I'm not the only one that experiences adversities or those kinds of hardships. And a lot of times, one of the things I experienced a lot is it felt alone. But like in the example of watching the waves and understanding that God's with me through it, is you're not alone. And you're not the only one that goes through it. And it doesn't, you know, change the intensity and severity of what it is you go through or how it affects you emotionally, mentally. That's completely valid, because you're a human being and you have these things. But I think that there's power in sharing our adversities, our moments, to help each other grow and to stay encouraged to keep going, because it's a hard thing. And it's amazing what we can do when we can throw out life rafts for each other. So whether you have to sidestep, whether you have to crawl, whether you have to learn how to surf those waves, I want to encourage you to remind yourself that just because you're going through this particular storm, you're having whatever battles of waves, adversity coming at you, there is still a way to succeed. There's still a way to get through this. And to hold on, keep going. Because what do you got to lose? It's part of life. Embrace it. All right. Well, thank you again for joining me. And until next time.